Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my 1,000 and singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. Now, I've been getting questions about grading lately, and grading can be expensive, especially if you're only sending out one note. I would absolutely recommend sending out many notes. You want to send out at least 10 at a time, because when you send out notes, you have to pay the insurance, you have to pay for the shipping to get it out there, but also in the cost, you have to pay for the shipping to get the note back to you. If you're sending one note, they're going to charge you $40 to grade the note, and you're going to have to pay $20 to ship it there, and you're going to have to pay them another $25 or so to ship it back to you. Now, all of a sudden, grading that one note is costing you $80, $90. Whereas all of those shipping costs get broken up if you have more notes. Okay, grading the note's still $40, or but the shipping cost is only one time. Okay, so if you've got one note, you're paying $40, but if you've got 20 notes, you're still paying that $40 for shipping. If you send out 20 notes at $40 per order, do you see how you've chopped up that to a mere $2 per note? So now your actual cost is $42 per note instead of $80 per note. So I highly recommend not sending off one note. Send off as many as you can. If you've only got one note to send in, don't send it in. Wait till you've got more notes to send. But the other thing, well, I'll get to the other thing later. That's the key, because a lot of times people will get a note that's, in a grade 20 is worth $200, and they paid $180 for it and they want to get it graded. Well, if it's the only note you're sending off, you are now paying $80 into that note that you bought for $180. So now you have $260 in that note, and it's going to come back graded 20, just like you thought. So now you've got more invested in the note than the note is actually worth. And the only reasoning for that is because you decided to send it off to get shipped. You decided to send it off to get graded. So think about that. Even if you've got that $200 note for $120 and now you send it off to be graded, now you've got exactly what it's worth in the note. So now you've just wiped out all your profit. So once again, don't be in such a hurry to send notes off to get graded. If you must send notes off to get graded, do them, I don't want to say in bulk, but do them in quantity. And if you're really that desperate to have graded notes, let somebody else pay for the grading. Just buy the graded note. That's the best cheat code as far as all this goes, because then you personally don't have to deal with the hassle of sending it into the grading company, waiting months for it to come back, and then fingers crossed hoping that you get the grade that you thought you were going to get. Let somebody else run that risk. All right, so I've got my 1,000 singles here. Let's get these out of the way. We are continuing with my Vegas notes. I've got 2 straps from Palace Station, one from Paris, one from the Cromwell, Tuscany, Ellis Island, Virgin, Westgate, Oyo, and Sahara. That's where all these came from. So let's see what I got. Starting with this one, I had to pull this one. There's a lot of people talking about true trinaries, which a true binary is zeros and ones, and that's based on the binary code. Okay. What they call a true trinary is zeros, ones, and twos, which isn't based on anything, which is why a true trinary isn't worth anything. It's just a trinary. So when you've got a true trinary at zeros, ones, and twos, like I said, people will point that out, not worth anything. Here is a note with zeros, ones, twos, and threes. So what is that, a true quadrary? See how silly this gets? Yes, but I saw it, so I figured I'd talk about it. All right. Found a birthday note. This one is July 11th, 2009, and this one came from Paris. I've got some trinaries here, 2s, 7s, and 8s, 2s, 3s, and 9s, 4s, 5s, and 7s, 2s, 4s, and 9s, 1s, 2s, and 7s, 1s, 5s, and 8s, 0s, 5s, and 7s. See how many of these there are? Trinaries are quite common. 0s, 4s, and 5s, 2s, 4s, and 7s, 0s, 4s, and 7s, and then we get to the quads. Quads are also quite easy to find, no additional value on them, but I'm also trying to match quads, so I pull them. We've got quad 2s, quad 5s, quad 7s with a 5th, and it's a trinary, 4s, 5s, and 7s. Still not worth anything, by the way. Quad 9s on this one. And this one has 5 1s, so that's a pretty cool find. Probably not worth anything, but this one's in good condition, and it's that easy to find 4 of a kind. 5 of a kind's a little tougher. You guys see how often I find them. It's not that often, so maybe a few dollars in value there. Nothing to write home about. I found some stars. This is a 2021 star note. Always checking to see if those stars are filled in. Another 2021 star. 2017 A star note. Another 2017 A. Oh, by the way, the 5 1s came from Palace Station. Let's see. 2017. Another 2017. 2017. Somebody wrote on it, so that'll probably go away. 2017. Another 2017. And another, that one's crisp at least. 2013. Oh, there's an overprint. Must be $1 million note. No. That 6 is just a little bit dark. So what? Doesn't add any value. Probably actually takes away from the value. And then some older notes. 2003A. I save everything 2003A and older just because we're at that 20-year point with them. Another 2003A. 2003A. Not in the greatest of shape. Most of those are going to go back. Another 2003A. 2003. These are actually kind of tough. These and the 2001s are kind of tough to find. So there's a 2001 to go with it. 1999. And the oldest note was a 1995, not a web note. And for those of you that are curious, 179 on the back, so it's not one of the fancy notes on the back either. All right, so what do I have? What did I pull out this week? Well, I pulled out this note. I thought this was cool when I heard the story about this. This is from the state of Michigan, and this would be the Bank of Singapore, Michigan. This is a obsolete currency. Now, Singapore, Michigan, you may not have heard of Singapore, Michigan, because it doesn't exist anymore. Singapore, Michigan was actually swallowed up by the sands of Lake Michigan. It no longer exists. It was I want to say it was a lumber yard, a lumber town, and they had a mill there and stuff. But once they carved up all the trees, there was nothing to stop the wind from whipping up the sand and essentially just burying the town. So the town of Singapore doesn't exist anymore. That's part of the reason I wanted to get one of these, because it's one thing to get obsolete currencies from banks that don't exist, but not only does this bank not exist, this town doesn't exist anymore. March 1st is what it says on the back there. So yeah, $5 Bank of Singapore. Let's see, the Bank of Singapore. I'm just trying to see if we can read the number there. Was it 1037? Probably. And it's got the signatures. Now, it's always interesting looking at these notes because you can see that these are actually hand-signed. The varying differences in the color allow you to see that this is an actual signature. With some of the notes, you're actually going to see it turning a little bit orange from the oxidation in the iron in the ink itself. So those are always cool. Let's take a look at the big book. And when I say big book, we got to go with the other big book. This is the Kelly book of obsolete currency. And if I look here, we're in Michigan, and here's Singapore. They made a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 5. Ideally, I want the 5, or the 3. I like $3 bills, and that's pretty cool there with the ship on it. But this one is the 5, and you can see right there, Steamboat Mercury and whatever that is there, Moneta. In very good, remember, that's VG. In VG8, you're talking $150. As a very fine 20, you're talking $375. And this particular one, it's a little rough around the edges. But, I mean, it's still there. It's not torn in half. It doesn't have any tape marks or anything. So it's easily a very good 8 and probably a 10 or a 12 at that particular price. So that's what I've got for you guys this week. If you learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. I love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you again next week.